The last round. Vivify Studio Stories.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The boy sitting across from him was his enemy. The boy sitting across from him was called Jamie, and he wore a blue silk jacket with an orange stripe down each sleeve. Jack told Ross that Jamie was his enemy. Mantle shouted, "Enemy, enemy." "That's a good piece," Jamie said, pointing to the gun on the table. "It will cost you almost $45. You try to buy it in the store. That's a lot of money." The gun on the table was a Smith & Wesson .38 police special. It rested squarely in the center of the table, its serrated 2-inch barrel suddenly ending the weapon's otherwise lethal grace. The gun had a checkered walnut stock, and the gun was finished in blue. Next to the rifle were 3.38 special cartridges. Ross looked at the gun indifferently. He was nervous and shy, but kept his face firmly under control. He couldn't show Jamie what he felt. Jamie was an enemy, so he gave the enemy a mask, raised one eyebrow, and said, "I've already seen pieces. It's nothing special. Except what we have to do with it," Jamie said. Jamie studied him with big brown eyes. Eyes felt wet. He was not a bad-looking boy, Jamie, with thick black hair and perhaps too long a nose, but a decent mouth and jaw. You can usually identify a cat by its mouth and jaw. Stem did not damage that particular rumble. Ross was sure of it. "Why don't we start?" Ross asked. She wet her lips and looked at Jamie. "You see," said Jamie, "I have no bad blood for you. I understand. That's what the club said. So the club said, let's arrange it. Do you dig Diddlebop without the high street? But I want you to know that I don't know you from a hole in the wall, except that you have a blue and gold coat." "To get this thing rolling," Ross asked. "What I'm trying to say," Jamie went on, "is that I just happen to be picked for this, you know? Like to settle this thing that's between the two clubs. I mean, you got to admit your boys shouldn't have come in our territory last night." "I got to admit nothing," Ross said flatly. "Well, anyway, they shot at the candy store. That wasn't right. There should be a break." Okay, Ross said. "So, this is how we agreed to settle it. I mean, one of us and one of you. Fair. Without any street talk or legal issues." "Let's get on with it," Ross said. "I'm trying to say, I never even seen you on the street before this. So this ain't nothing personal with me. Whichever way it turns out, like." "I never seen you neither," Ross said. Jamie stared at him for a long time. "That's 'cause you're new around here. Where are you from?" "My people are from the Bronx." "Do you have a big family?" "A sister and 2 brothers, that's all." "Yes, I only have a sister." Jamie shrugged. "Very," he sighed. "So," he sighed again, "it is, isn't it?" "I'll wait," Ross said. Jamie took a gun from the table and then one cartridge. He broke the pistol, inserted a cartridge into the barrel, then locked the gun and turned the barrel. "Around it goes," he said, "and no one knows where it stops. There are 6 chambers in the cylinder, and only 1 cartridge. That makes the odds 5 to 1 that the cartridge will be in firing position when the cylinder stops rotating. Do you dig?" "I dig it." "I'll go first," said Jamie. Ross looked at him suspiciously. "Why?" "You want to go first." "I don't know. I'm giving you a break." Jamie grinned. "I may blow my head off first time out." "Why are you giving me a break?" Ross asked. Jamie shrugged. "What the hell's the difference?" He gave the cylinder a fast twirl. "The Russians made it up, didn't they?" Ross asked. "Yes. I always said they were crazy bastards." "Yes, I always." Stem stopped talking. Now the cylinder stopped. He took a deep breath, put the barrel of the .38 to his temple, then pulled the trigger. The shooter clicked into an empty room. "Well, that was easy, wasn't it?" he asked. He pushed the gun across the table. "Your turn, Ross." Ross reached for his gun. It was cold in the basement, but now he was sweating. He pulled the gun towards him, and then left it on the table to dry his palm on his pants. Then he took the gun and looked at it. "It's a clever song," Jamie said. "I like a good song." "Yeah, me too," Ross said. "You can tell a good song by the way it feels in your hands." Stem looked surprised. "I mentioned this to a guy yesterday and he thought I was crazy." "A lot of guys don't know the songs," Ross said with a shrug. "I was thinking," Jamie said, "when I get old enough, I'm going to join the military, you know? I'd like to tour the songs." "That's what I thought too. I would join now, but the old woman won't let me. She has to sign if I join now." "Yeah, they're all the same," Jamie said with a smile. "Were you born here, your old lady, or the old country?" "The old country," Ross said. "Yeah, you know they have those old-fashioned ideas." "I roll better," Ross said. "Yes," Jamie agreed. Ross hit the cylinder with his left hand. The cylinder turned, and then stopped. Ross slowly put the gun to his head. He wanted to close his eyes, but didn't dare. Enemy Jamie watched him. He looked back at Jamie and then pulled the trigger. His heart jumped, and then he heard a hollow click over his blood. Hastily, he placed the gun on the table. Sweats you, doesn't it? Said Jamie. Ross nodded without saying anything. He looked at Jamie. Stem looked at the gun. Me now, huh? Said Jamie. He took a deep breath and then picked up the .38. He turned the cylinder, waited for it to stop, then put the gun to his head. Bang, Stem said, and then pulled the trigger. Again the striker clicked into the empty room. Stem took a breath and lowered the gun. I thought I was dead at the time, he said. I heard harps, said Ross. It's a good way to lose weight, you know that? Jamie laughed nervously. Then his laugh turned honest when he saw Ross laughing with him. Isn't that true? That's how you can lose 10 pounds. My old lady is like a house, Ross said with a laugh. He should try that kind of diet. He laughed at his own humor, happy when Jamie joined him. That's the problem, Jamie said. You see a pretty deb on the street, you think it's crazy, you know? Then there are people's age and they're getting fat. He shook his head. Do you have a child? Ross asked. Yeah, I got one. What's his name? Oh, you don't know him. Maybe I will, Ross said. Her name is Juana. Jamie looked at him. She's about 5 years old. She's got those brown eyes. I think I know him, said Ross. He nodded. Yes, I think I know him. He's handsome, isn't he? Asked Jamie. He leaned forward as if Ross's answer was very important to him. Yeah, he's nice, Ross said. Yeah. Hey, maybe someday we could. Stem cut himself off. He looked down at the gun, his sudden excitement seeming to subside completely. Your turn, he said. Nothing will come of it, said Ross. He turned the cylinder, inhaled, and then fired. A loud, hollow click was heard in the silence of the room. Men, Ross said. We're pretty lucky, you know, said Jamie. Until now. We better cut the odds. Boys don't like it when we... He stopped again and reached for one of the cartridges on the table. He opened the gun again and slipped another round into the barrel. Now we have 2 cartridges here, he said. 2 cartridges, 6 chambers. It's 4 to 2. Split it in half and you get 2 for 2. He paused. Are you playing? That's what we're here for, right? Of course. Okay then. Out, Jamie said, nodding. You have guts, Ross? You need courage, Ross said gently. This is your bike. Stem raised the rifle. Empty. He began to turn the cylinder. You live in the next block, don't you? Ross asked. Yes. Stem continued to hit the cylinder. It swirled in a gentle hum. I guess that's why our paths never crossed. Besides, I'm new to the scene. Yeah, you know, you stick to one club, that's what it is. Do you like the boys in your club? Ross asked, wondering why he was asking such a stupid question as he listened to the sound of the cylinder. They're fine, Jamie shrugged. None of them send me, but it's a club on my block, so what are you going to do, huh? His hand left the top hat. It stopped spinning. He put the gun to his head. Wait, Ross said. Stem looked confused. What's wrong? Nothing. I just wanted to say... Ross frowned. I don't dig too many men in my club either. Stem nodded. For a moment, their eyes locked. Then Jamie shrugged and fired. A hollow click filled the basement. Ah, Jamie said. Man, you can say that again. Stem pushed the gun across the table. Ross hesitated for a moment. He didn't want to take the gun. He was sure that this time the needle would hit the pin of one of the cartridges. He was sure he would shoot himself this time. Sometimes I think I'm a turkey, he told Jamie, surprised that his thoughts had found a voice. I feel that way too sometimes, Jamie said. I never told anyone, Ross said. My club mates used to laugh at me. I never told them that. Some things should be kept to yourself. There is no one in this world you can trust. There should be someone you can trust, Ross said. Damn, you can't tell people anything. They don't understand, Stem laughed. It's an old story. But things are like that. What are you going to do? Yeah, sometimes I think I'm a turkey, though. Of course, Jamie said. It's not just that, though. Like sometimes. Well, don't you wonder what you're doing when you step on some guy in the street? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who is a man for you? Why would you hit him? Because he messed with another girl? Stem shook his head. It's hard sometimes. Yeah, but, Ross frowned again. You have to come along, right? Sure, hell yeah. Their eyes closed again. Well, here we go, Ross said. He raised his gun. It's just, he shook his head and then turned the cylinder. The cylinder turned and then stopped. He studied the gun, wondering if a single round would pop out of the barrel when he pulled the trigger. Then he shot. Click. I didn't think you could make it, Jamie said. Neither do I. You've got a heart, Ross, Jamie said. He looked at the gun. He took it and opened it. What are you doing? Ross asked. Another round, Jamie said. 6 rooms, 3 rounds. It even makes money. Do you play? You, the boys said. Stem stopped talking. Yes, I'm game, he added in his curious low voice. You know, it's your turn. I know, Ross watched Jamie raise his gun. Have you ever rowed on a lake? Jamie looked across the table at Ross with wide eyes. Once, he said. I went with Juana. Is that some kind of punch? Yeah, that's a great shot. You mean you've never been? No, said Ross. Hey, you gotta try, man, Jamie said excitedly. You'll love it. Hey, try it. Yeah, I thought maybe this Sunday. He didn't finish the sentence. My cycling, Jamie said wearily. He turned the cylinder. This will be a good man, he said, putting the revolver to his head and pulling the trigger. Click. Ross smiled nervously. There is no rest for the weary, he said. But Jesus, you have a heart. I don't know if I can do it. Of course you can, Jamie assured him. Listen, what is there to be afraid of? He slid the gun across the table. Shall we keep it going all night? Ross asked. They said, you know. Well, it's not that bad. I mean, hell, we didn't have this operation. We wouldn't have a chance to talk, would we? He smiled weakly. Yes, Jamie said with a big smile on his face. It wasn't that bad, was it? No, it was. Well, you know, those guys at the club who can talk to them. He raised his gun. We could, Jamie began. What? We can say, well, like we shot and nothing happened, so, Stem shrugged. What the hell? We can't do this all night, can we? I don't know. Let's make it the last round. Look, they don't like it. They can jump up and down, you know? I don't think they'd like that. We'd have to sort it out for the clubs. Turn the club, said Jamie. Can't we choose for ourselves? The words were hard. When it came, his eyes never left Ross's face. Friends? Sure we can, Ross said frantically. Of course we can. Why not? Last turn, Jamie said. Come on, last round. Gone, Ross said. Hey, you know, I'm glad they got the idea. You know that? I'm really glad. He turned the cylinder. Look, do you want to go to the lake this Sunday? I mean, you and me. We could get 2 boats. Or even one if you want. Yes, 1 boat, said Jamie. Hey, your girl likes Juana. I mean it. She's a swell chick. The cylinder stopped. Ross quickly put the gun to his head. It's Sunday here, he said. He grinned at Jamie and Jamie grinned back, and Ross shot. The explosion shook the small basement, tearing off half of Ross's head and smashing his face. A small cry and a look of disbelief escaped Jamie's throat, and a shock of disbelief came over him. Then he put his head on the table and started crying. Hey there, beautiful bookworms. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Your likings helps this channel a lot. Have a great good night sleep.